What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. I appreciate y'all for checking with me. You already know what it is. We back with another one of them things. Listen, we got a lot of things to discuss tonight. Obviously, we coming off of the heels of our thunderous live stream yesterday. It was just a movie. I got a lot of things to talk about involving Shedeur Sanders, Kevin Stefanski, the Cleveland Browns. We have an update, ladies and gentlemen. The Cleveland Browns have started to get things in order. And Coach Prime Deion Sanders may have a head scratching moment here. But it may be a situation where Shedeur will have to wait because he is currently opening as QB3 for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it's got to be disgusting. It's got to be nasty. Um, but in all seriousness, Shedeur Sanders has to compete for his spot. And this is going to be a real tricky situation if he could overcome all of this. We all know the heart of Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, when Kenny Pickett was traded, we thought that that was going to be spectacular news for Shedeur Sanders, but it seems like we haven't got there just yet. But the Cleveland Browns, nonetheless, they have trimmed some of the fat around the quarterback room. But now, obviously, Flacco is going to be starting. Everybody knew that. And then now, after that, it's not Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders was not named the backup, ladies and gentlemen. That's just point blank, period. They have put a lot of obstacles in front of Shedeur Sanders. Some people may say it's excuses. Like I said, I'm going to consider it as obstacles that he's going to have to overcome. And I believe that it's going to all be good when it's all said and done. I was just listening to Cam Ward. He came out and said that he thought all along it was going to be him and Shedeur. This whole thing with Shedeur slipping all the way to the fifth round is a shocking turn of events in the sports world. But Kevin Stefanski, we all know Shedeur Sanders. I just don't look like he's going to be one of his guys. Dylan Gabriel was named the backup. So, I mean, that's tough, to see Shedeur Sanders move, to QB3. Obviously, it's looking like the deck is going to be stacked, even if it's an opportunity. They're giving it to Gabriel. You're going to have a situation where Gabriel is going to have to basically just piss up the bed for Shedeur Sanders to get in the game. That's what it's looking like this season. A lot of people, you hear haters and critics, they believe Shedeur is not going to touch the field for a split second this upcoming year. But I beg to differ. I do believe that Shedeur is going to get an opportunity. I'm not going to get too high or too low on that performance that he just had over the weekend in that short spurt. We have to put all things into context. Obviously, it wasn't one of his better performances. But look what happened to the people who was protecting him. They all were casualties of the situation. I just want to hope Shedeur is not a casualty of this quarterback situation. And let's just keep it 100. This whole quarterback situation for Cleveland, this thing been going on for years. They had quarterback issues and problems, and now look what they have. And I almost wish Shedeur never even was picked by the Cleveland Browns due to the way they do things. This is very Cleveland Brownish what's happening right now. But for real, I'm keeping it 100 with you. Gabriel is going to, you think he's going to let the reins go for Shedeur Sanders? So, I mean, we got to keep it 100. Gabriel was picked, higher than Shedeur Sanders. So, as the way things are looking, man, Gabriel is going to get that reign, and Flacco is not the long-term solution. And Flacco knows that. He knows it. But something tells me Flacco ain't going to give up the reins either. This team, this organization is behind him. But Gabriel is going to get the opportunity. They love this kid. You know, they don't have the same love that they have for Gabriel as they have for Shedeur. Gabriel seems a lot more, supplanted with the organization. Let's see if Shedeur can overcome this weekend just nasty situation that he had to endure. But you heard it firsthand. Kevin Stefanski said that Wyndon Gabriel will be at their backup. He says that he's certainly somebody that's getting better and better. So he's very high, on him. So this is wild. I want to hear some of what this guy said. Let's hear what Kevin Stefanski said because I was listening to some of his reports. Let's hear what he said.
That goes back to the previous discussion. It's such a all-encompassing evaluation. So everything the guys did in the games was important. We also saw a lot of them out here in practice and how they are at their craft. And he's certainly somebody that we think is getting better and better. Yeah.
So that's Kevin Stefanski on Gabriel. So we all know Dillon Gabriel is looking like he's going to be the man in Cleveland after Flacco is gone. Who knows where Shedeur's going to end up? A lot of people are not happy what has all occurred here. You hearing all kind of athletes come out. This ain't just, it's any, part of it. It's not just anybody just coming out saying anything. This is official voices that have opinions on the matter. Shedeur Sanders is really getting thrown through the mud, and it's truly unfortunate that he's going to have to go through all of this to get the opportunity. Do you really think he's going to get an opportunity in Cleveland? Who's to say that Dillon Gabriel don't just run away with this goddamn thing? I think that's something that a lot of people are not holding into consideration. So I'm very concerned with now Shedeur not being named the backup, and we got this situation here. We're gonna get into it. We got the legendary All Access in the building, Dex. There's a lot of things percolating in the Cleveland Browns whole situation. What's your thoughts? Because we got breaking news. Dillon Gabriel was named the backup quarterback. What the hell is going on? What does this mean for Shedeur? Because he's the QB3 at the moment.
Yes, sir. First of all, salute flight. Thank you once again for inviting me into the platform and integrating me into the stream. Uh, let's just start this horse off on the right race. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in these streets. Shout out to the panel as it reaches its premium peak. Shout out to the chat and all of its cacophony spewing out of the cracks and crevices of Flight Sports Block. And big ups to everybody pulling up to enjoy this festive Tuesday evening as we continuously engage in the performance and presence in the NFL of Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. Flight. This has been somewhat troublesome on my mind. And the reason why, if I may say so myself, is because Shedeur Sanders stunk up the joint. It was such an odious performance. I mean, it rung dung up into the nose of those who sit on the lofty seat who watch over as gods of the NFL. I mean, it was such a unfermented performance. It was just uber putrid. And I don't know what the hell was ringing in Shedeur Sanders' head in that last performance. I mean, how can you have such an A- performance against the Carolina Panthers on the road, then stink up the joint when all eyes are on you again as you being the underdog. I mean, this was so disappointing and so deflating for those Shedeur Sanders fans and Cleveland Browns hopeful that now there's cause for pause. Now he has created doubt in the heads of those who was championed with spirited fervor for him to be either QB2 or QB1. He have created doubt based on his ungodly performance. I mean, it stunk all the way to the heavens of the NFL. And thanks for Andrew Barry that he probably won't allow Stefanski to, do what probably he wants to do. Because Andrew Barry is Stefanski boss. Andrew Barry drafted him, and so there's pride connected to Shedeur Sanders and Andrew Barry. Because Andrew Barry wants this to work out. He wants to show how he got Shedeur Sanders on such a bargain deal flight that he don't understand why the Cleveland Brown brass outside of Andrew Barry is cleft with confusion. And this is why the Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. Like,
the Cleveland Browns, it's just a troublesome organization, like you said. This is just utterly ridiculous what's taking place with Cleveland. They have to get it together. I told you this is very reminiscent. Now with Dylan Gabriel being named, the backup, like I said, Gabriel don't look like he ready to give up shit, to Shedeur Sanders. I mean, is there going to be an opportunity this season for Shedeur, because it's starting to look crazy? What's up?
first of all, why should he, right? Why should Dylan Gabriel, who is a competitor himself, he spent a couple of years at OU, which is a highly started out football university, and then he went to Oregon, which is another one. And if I'm not mistaken, Oregon was right there for the collegiate football championship, right? They was in the playoffs. They beat Ohio State, who eventually was the champions, right? Ohio State beat them in the revenge game. So Dylan Gabriel was playing for university at a high level in very competitive games throughout the Pac-12. He took over for Bo Nix. And what can you say about that? Bo Nix, who was his predecessor, was a Heisman hopeful. Dylan Gabriel was a Heisman hopeful. Actually, Dylan Gabriel finished higher ranking than Shedeur Sanders in the same collegiate year. So what, Dylan Gabriel was 4th overall in the Heisman vote? I think Sanders was 8th. Top 10, okay, cool. But he wasn't never higher than Dylan Gabriel throughout the collegiate season. It's just that his celebrity was, speaking of Shedeur Sanders. So coming into the draft, a lot of the heavy hitters had Shedeur Sanders ranked higher than Dylan Gabriel. But in all reality, throughout the collegiate season, they're both final season, Dylan Gabriel was a higher ranking quarterback because he finished top 4 in the Heisman vote. And Shedeur Sanders finished top 10 in the Heisman vote. So the real pundits and the real purists understand the situation with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. In actuality, as much as I love primetime, right? Primetime, Tony Dorsett, Bo Jackson, Eric Dickerson, my favorite NFL players of all time. So, and I can't forget Hollywood Henderson, for those who can go way back. But nevertheless, as much as I adore and appreciate the upbringing and football masculinity of primetime sons, Shedeur and Shiloh, Shedeur is ranked where he's supposed to be ranked, Flight. And it's just because we felt that he should have been drafted higher than the 5th round, which in reality he should have been, based on his collegiate play. But I'm not sure if Shedeur Sanders, according to what's on tape and what Dillon Gabriel's on tape, the Browns saw that Dillon Gabriel was a higher ranked prospect. And that's why they drafted him in the 3rd round and Shedeur in the 5th round. But we all know that there was some collusion going on with the Sanders family. We understand that aspect. But since it played out that way, the Browns is trying to confirm that this is how it's supposed to play out anyway. And then Shedeur Sanders basically hand over the narrative by stinking up the joint against the Los Angeles Rams. A better team, right, than the Carolina Panthers. A better franchise than the Carolina Panthers. The Los Angeles Rams is a Super Bowl winning franchise, right, and have multiple Super Bowl appearances. So when Dillon Gabriel played against the 2nd unit of the Los Angeles Rams and did, fairly well, give him a B, right? And then Shedeur Sanders played against the 3rd and 4th string of the Los Angeles Rams. He did not create any separation nor favoritism that could propel him to leapfrog Dillon Gabriel. Now, when you look at that performance, which was god awful, Shedeur Sanders, now hear me out. Shedeur Sanders, that performance was a total blooper and nightmarish, at least. I'm quite sure Shedeur Sanders pinched himself several times, couldn't believe that he was in such a quagmire of a performance. After showing his brilliance in his first preseason start of his inaugural season as an NFL quarterback. He quantified his beliefs, but then he qualified the narrative that is against him. And he gave rise and yeast to those who parade that Shedeur Sanders is not as good as pushed. And he confirmed that with that performance. So now he has an opportunity, because the Browns are stupid, but they're not stupid. Everybody knows Shedeur Sanders is a cash cow. Like, Flacco's no cash cow. Dillon Gabriel's no cash cow. Kenny Pickett wasn't no cash cow. Snoop wasn't no cash cow. Huntley wasn't no cash cow. The only cash cow they got on that team is Shedeur Sanders. Now, Jerry Jeudy, he's making a name for himself. He's been around for a minute, so he's trying to make a name for himself. Myles Garrett, he's a defender. Ain't nobody walking around, just, Aaron Donald was an anomaly that people just buying his jersey. He was an anomaly. But normally defenders, regardless how good you are, you just looked upon as a brute jock with minimal intelligence, but ferocious. But as a quarterback, you looked upon as being the guru, the genius, the intellectual, the leader. I hate when I do that. The leader and things of that nature. Everything that's good and pompous, it comes along with the quarterback. So Shedeur Sanders, the cash cow that he is, you think the Browns gonna let him go? You don't think Jerry Jones was waiting in the wings for the Browns to do something stupid? Like the owner has them talking about he really wouldn't want him. That wasn't going to fly with him. You know what I'm saying? If he really had his say on it, and luckily that cooler heads prevailed when they had their meetings or several meetings, and he said the right people was in the room to said the right things, and so he went along with it. And Andrew Berry was the chaperone who led the voices and the consent to draft Shedeur Sanders. Now look at Haskins. His team is more talked about than the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys have a pivotal player of grand importance hanging in the balance, Michael Parsons. But yet, a fifth rounder, third string quarterback, is being talked about as if he's the face of the league, and you still got Patrick Mahomes healthy. You still got Josh Allen healthy, Lamar Jackson healthy, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP healthy. You ain't hearing shit about these people, man. They're afterthoughts. They're mentioned in the back pages, not the front page. Shedeur Sanders is mentioned in the front pages. Everybody wants a piece of this young man, whether good or bad. It's the controversy that the NFL needs to really separate itself from basketball and baseball right now. And Shedeur Sanders is doing that. And the Cleveland Browns know good and doggone well there was nowhere near cutting him, and that wasn't even the discussion. Regardless how bad he played in his final preseason game, which was uber putrid, if I may say so myself. Like,
so you don't want to hold that these not the receivers, the offensive line, they all got cut. You're not going to hold them that accountable. Obviously, he played like, it was piss poor, like you said. But what about his linemen just getting dismissed right after that performance? Isn't that telling?
well, of course it's telling, and that's the point that most of the detractors of the Sanders family is making. They're saying that, okay, he was with lesser talent. If there was any kind of in this young man, he would have elevated that lesser talent. He wouldn't be out there running like a bird flying backwards. He wouldn't be out there running like a chicken without his head. He would have been able to have a steady hand and be able to control the offense to the point where it wouldn't be detrimental towards the Browns, regardless if he had sixth graders out there. See, this is the standard that he's under now, because remember who his parent is. You understand what I'm saying? So he understands this. He keeps saying this in interviews. I understand my expectation. I understand that I'm playing for more than just, myself, blah, blah, this. Well, if you understand that young man, too legendary, then you can't be out there going off script too often. When you're in danger, you have to protect your players by not putting them in detrimental situations by running backwards, losing 24 yards, losing fumbles, just having a ball, just flinging. Like if you Otis Thorpe, somebody, or Dr. J, with some of or Kawhi Leonard with some of the biggest hands in sports, that you just can hold the ball any kind of way and you still have strength. No, that does not show the aptitude that we have associated with Shedeur Sanders. What it shows was attitude, that the narrative and the agenda against Shedeur Sanders reigned supreme. And that's what got us all perturbed and upset. And now we want revenge because Shedeur Sanders have an opportunity now, because he's QB3, to be able to reinvent himself and take out that sorry memory of his last preseason performance. We need that erased. We need a do-over. And he understands it. So when you say that he was with lesser talent, like every team, it's 32 teams. So every 32 teams had a third string quarterback playing with third strings and fourth strings on the field in third and fourth quarters. And if you go back and look at all of those quarterbacks, regardless of name, regardless of team, I'm telling you, the top 10 dismal performance, Shedeur Sanders is in there. And that shouldn't be the case. He shouldn't be in no top 10 dismal performance, regardless of who out there. If the play call is not right, you dump it down. You got to be Brady-esque. You dump it down. You're not going to give me a bill of check. You ain't going to get me out here like that.
So
I'm
what
going
do
to
you
dump
think?
this down.
The question, I don't mean to cut you off. What do you think he was trying to do? Because it looked like he was trying to get a big play or something, don't you think?
That's attitude, like, not aptitude. It's the difference. You follow what I'm saying? So this is not harmonious. You have to be able to separate your aptitude from your attitude when you're in a situation where half of the industry is for you and half of the industry is against you. So you got to be able to play it down the middle, because you don't know if your coach or your offensive coordinator is putting you in situations that are not successful. So you got to take it upon yourself, as much football as he played, as much knowledge that he have of the game, he has to be able to dump it down, check off to his emergency, you follow what I'm saying, and let them do the work. I don't care if he never get a first down, but show that you have the intellect to operate an offense without being detrimental. That's the key. And that's what the pundits and the purists are looking for. And this is what they have a reason to pause, because we have seen this aberrant behavior from Shedeur Sanders far too often in college. And you already know what the old saying is. If you get uncomfortable, then you're going to do the things that makes you comfortable. And holding on to the ball a little too long is probably something that makes them comfortable. Because if it didn't, he wouldn't do it so often.
Mm-hmm. He definitely had some of his negative traits. It all was on full display. Let's get to some of this chat, Dex. This chat is going ballistic. We got Henny in here talking about they buck breaking him. Sky in here saying he buck breaking himself. Sky is just on the tear in the chat. He's not happy about the things you said. What you think about what the chat talking about right now? It seems like a lot of difference of opinions going on.
Yeah, I mean, that this is what stirs controversy. This is the result of controversy. So we all are qualified observers, right? And so what we see, we interpret it according to our information, right? How we process information. So everybody's not going to see it the same. Listen, I'm talking about Rhodes Scholars. I'm talking about Pulitzer Prize winners. Can take one word and argue the shades of meaning of that word for 500 years. So we may not see it all the same, but at some point, if you're really looking for the truth or the facts, then you have to allow the data to lead you to it without you interrupting that data and trying to spin it. So I'm only going by the last performance. I'm not saying overall this is what Shedeur Sanders is. I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan. I'm looking to buy a white number 2 jersey from the Cleveland Browns. I just got to make sure that he's going to be around. But anyway, he is going to be around. Just joking. But so we just have to allow the data and don't purposely misinterpret the data because we want to feel good. Wherever the data leads us, that's the fact. And the fact is, he was god awful in his last performance. Now, that doesn't determine the overall football person that Shedeur Sanders is, because I believe he's better than that. But he has to prove he's better than that on this level. We've seen his resilience in college because we saw bounce back games. We saw bounce back plays. But now we have to see that same resiliency on the NFL tundra. We have to see how he operates in that 120 yards. That's from back of the end zone to back of the end zone. And between the 54 yards across, right? 120, 54, or some say 154, because they don't count the end zone. But the end zone counts because the end zone is part of play. So I count it all. 10 yards extended from one end, 10 yards extended from the opposite end. So that's 20 extra yards within the 100 yards. If you do the math, plus 100, that's 120. So between the 120 and the 54, we have to see Shedeur Sanders get it between those ears and be able to perform at a respectable and sustainable level, Flight.
Yes, most definitely. This is just unbelievable. I want to let's shift gears for a minute, Dex. I want to get your thoughts because the Sanders family is just going wild. It's bigger than Nino Brown right now. We just got the news that Shiloh, was cut by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was a mess. It was nasty. Deion Sanders came out and spoke today. Some of the things that he said, it sounded kind of wild because he started talking about life after football, that his kids are gonna be good with or without football. It started to make me think like, damn, is it over? The way he was saying, but I know Deion got to say all the right things. They're gonna try to get at him for his bravado. So it seemed like they're putting Deion in a tough situation right now. So, but it's very unfortunate what happened to Shiloh. What's your thoughts on this Shiloh situation? Because a lot of people feel like he was targeted. It was a mess. What's your thoughts on this thing, man?
Well, Shiloh had a lot to prove. He wasn't targeted. Yeah, he probably was a fan favorite in the local area of St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay, the I-4 corridor going down there right by, through Orlando. He probably was a fan favorite because he did a lot of community work and associated and graced himself with the people of that area. But Shiloh had a lot of work. And even at Colorado, he had a lot of work. I mean, he was one of the older guys on the team. He had plenty of experience, but he used to miss a whole lot of assignments. And he'd try to make it up by getting a big hit. And in football, it's not always about the big hit because once offensive coordinators know that you are a batter ram, they can use that against you. And how they use that against you, do a lot of misdirections, a lot of deception. And Shiloh falls for it every time. So for him to be as old as he is and he didn't dominate in college for his position. He was skating on thin ice anyway. He was basically walking on eggshells. And so he had a whole lot of improvement to show that he got better since the last footage of Colorado. I mean, he cost Colorado a couple of games last season, remember? Colorado could have been a 10-win team if Shiloh would have been in his position. You know, instead of roaming the field and trying to make a big play, instead of playing, playing your zone area. So yeah, he cost them a couple of games, and that cost him to have a presence in the playoff. But it is what it is. So now that he's at a higher level, I guess the improvement just wasn't there. He still wanted to be a batter ram, and so he wanted to be all bronze but no brain. And we know that his dad was bronze and brain, with hell of a speed to compensate for any errors that he might have made. Shiloh doesn't have that kind of speed on defense. So he have to be very particular and very choiceful when he makes his attack known. And sometimes in football language, his gap integrity was awful. I mean, there was so many miscues with Shiloh. If it wasn't for Travis Hunter shutting down a whole half of 54 is 25, 26, 26-5?
Right.
Or 27? So 27 yards of that field, the other team had to operate. And Shiloh's on the other side of that, right? And team score. But Travis Hunter only gave up one score in 2 years in Colorado. But Colorado defense wasn't really known for being a stopper. So if you have one player shutting down 27 feet of a field from side to side, 27 feet, half the field, and then you got Shiloh being able to operate the other half of that field, but that's where all your points are coming from. What can you say, right? Tape don't lie, right? The eye in the sky don't lie. So Shiloh had a whole lot. If he couldn't win you over with his personality, it was going to be very hard for him to make the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, some other team might try to pick him up and put him on the practice squad, because if another team picks him up, they have to sign him to the 53-man roster. So we're going to see. He's still out there dangling. You know, injuries could happen. It's a whole lot of stuff can happen, right? Because look at Kurt Warner. I mean, he's one of the most famous out of all football players in the annal of history, that he was bagging groceries when the Rams called him. And now he's a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP. Follow what I'm saying? He was bagging groceries when the Rams called him. So you just never know, right? My homeboy, good gracious, I coach. This is the guys I always brag about who I coached and became a professional athlete. But I coached him in basketball, but became a professional athlete in football. Keenan, but he got cut from the Carolina Panthers, who drafted him, and he was working at Discount Tires. All of a sudden, the Eagles called him. Discount Tires. This man putting on tires, but he was in shape. So when the Eagles called him, he was ready, and he went and filled in the slot that was needed. So it's never over until it's over. So Shiloh, just stay in shape, keep your mind sharp, and and when you come back, you have to play it safe. You can't just go out there and be rambunctious on that tundra. You have to be able to have gap integrity and be able to man your zone. And you can't try to cover for everybody else. This is not Colorado.
you heard Todd Bowles say that you can't throw punches in this league. I
Well, that's
mean,
bullshit. Everybody throw punches. They throw punches in practice.
yeah. So I mean, it's crazy because Deion went down there to Tampa. He didn't go to Cleveland, but he went to Tampa. So I mean, this kind of wild to see what happened. But he was undrafted, so they dealing with these people accordingly. They treating them like regular people.
Yeah, when you come in undrafted like that, you have to be a superstar standout. You have to be you have to be a decision away from getting somebody fired if they cut you. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where Shedeur, he's in that situation. He's a decision away from somebody losing their lifelong goal job of being executive in the NFL. Trying to screw with this young man. So they gotta be careful. Andrew Barry, he's not a dummy. And Haslam, I don't know what I mean. He's a money man. So I don't understand what his trip was for coming on national TV saying that he didn't approve of Sanders drafting. That only shows me that he just wanted to stay uh, uh, in alignment with the good old boy. That's what that tells me. That he didn't break rank. Look, guys, I didn't break rank. It was Andrew that did that. And then we had a meeting, and then I got to represent the Cleveland Browns as a democracy. So we had a meeting, and the majority voted, and so we got to go with the majority. Put the kid on the team. Let's see what he got. But all my good old boy partners, hey man, I didn't break rank. You know what I'm saying? It was a coup. It was a democratic coup.
It was one of them coups. Listen, man, Shiloh, they got to get it together. Yesterday we was live, and a lot of what I was taking away was this is one of the first times that basically they have to compete. How do you feel like because Shedeur was pretty much the QB1 everywhere he went, Deion pretty much laid the foundation. This is kind of new turf, for them. How do you feel Shedeur is going to be able to get through something like this, and even Shiloh, because nothing is given to them right now? Is Shiloh ever going to get another opportunity again in the NFL? Is Shedeur ever going to take the field? What do you think about them dealing with something new like competing? What do you think about that?
Well, I believe Shiloh has always been somewhat of a competitor because he got recruited out of high school to a SEC team, and we all know that the SEC in collegiate football reigns supreme, right? So if he's going into that arena, that said coming out of high school that he was potentially pro ready. So I believe he was always a competitor and he always competed. Even when Deion, when he went into the portal and came to Jackson State, he competed, but Jackson State was Jackson State, right? They was building a program. Then they go to Colorado. He competed, but Colorado was Colorado. They was building a program. It was several instances where Deion benched Shiloh for his mishaps. So everything wasn't bread and butter for Shiloh. I could say that. Now, when it comes to Shedeur competed at a high level every time he stepped on the field. Now, he might not have had a competition within the ranks of Jackson State or Colorado, but every time he got on the field, he was competing against those. He was competing against the naysayers. He was competing against the doubters, the disbelievers. He was competing against the haters. So he had a different kind of competition. His competition was more mental than physical. His competition was global, not so much regional or local. And this is why a lot of us have taken Shedeur Sanders as someone who can pass the test. Because the litmus test is, oh, you've been favored by your dad, right? Just like the Ball brothers, right? You've been favored by your dad all the way through. And then when they start competing against others and the dad has no influence, they still excel, correct? And the Ball brothers still excel. So now it's time to see if the Sanders can still excel outside the influence of the dad. And we're witnessing this in real time. So it's too early to speculate that they was coddled and preference throughout their lives and they're soft, because we're witnesses in real time and we only had 3 games. And these were training camp preseason games to determine who and what they are. That's not enough to determine who and what you are. You have to actually get out there first team on first team, mano on mano, against your competitors, playing in their stadium, and they come into your stadium to knock your head off, and you go into their stadium to knock their heads off. That's where we're going to get the real from the fake. This is where we separate boys from men, not preseason, because everybody don't go hard in preseason, because a lot of people, a lot of players in preseason have guaranteed contracts. So they ain't got to go hard. You know what I'm saying? Preseason is only just to get you prepped for the regular season. Get your joints, your bones, your muscles, your tendons strong enough so you can handle some of this violent collision that's going to happen in the real season, because now the players are playing for bread and meat. If they don't win, they don't eat. Preseason is a little different. So he's going to get an opportunity again. I mean, he's QB3. So if you're QB3 and you're playing for the Browns, most likely you're going to get a crack at him. You know, Browns could be getting blowed out. Put him in there, you know. Or Browns could be blowing somebody out. Put him in there. Browns could be having a horrific season. Okay, let's put him in there. Because they got to see what they got for real. Not preseason, not third team, fourth team players who are not going to be on the team anymore, that he has to collaborate with. We want to see him out there collaborating with the real guys who are steadfast and sustainable and who are the top tier talent on this 53-man roster of the Cleveland Browns. And Flight, don't forget now, you got Lonzo Ball up there in Cleveland. And wait till basketball season kind of merge in with the football season. Cleveland's going to be off the chain. See, they know this. They know Cleveland is going to be a sellout for basketball and football, for the surrounding area, clubs, bars, restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Cleveland is going to be a jumping city. It's already a really nice city, you know, over there by that water, by where the stadiums are, football and basketball stadiums, Morgan's Fieldhouse and Cleveland Brown Stadium. So that area is really a high-end area. You know what I'm saying? It's right there on the waterfront. You know, it's going to be jumping, man. When the basketball and the football is going on at the same time. So the Browns understand this, and they know they have the cash cow in-house, and they're just going to see we're going to see how they manipulate the situation. Because there's no way on this blue marble that the Cleveland Browns should be getting more attention than the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles.
We're gonna have to find out what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a very troubling, situation. In my opinion. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I just feel like I said, I just want these guys to be able to get an opportunity, fairly. Hopefully that all this mess starts to slow down. But like I said, I do think Shedeur, hopefully he can get an opportunity. If he won't, I'll just say send him off to another team. It is kind of
He ain't
wild
going
to
nowhere,
see.
Fly. You can forget that.
Yeah.
You can get that out your head. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't want you going there. You get that out your head. That man is not going nowhere no time soon out of Cleveland.
So they're just gonna keep him now.
Fly, did you hear what I just said? The man is a business. He's a marquee. He's a billboard.
That's right.
Didn't you just hear me say the Cleveland Browns are being talked about more than the Dallas Cowboys? They're being talked about more than the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Super Bowl champ Philadelphia Eagles, as well as the runner-up Kansas City Chiefs. With all the movement going on in the NFL, Brady owning the Raiders, Pete Carroll coming back to the NFL for the Las Vegas Raiders, that ain't the talk of the town. That's not the talk of the town. The talk of the town is what the hell's going on with Shedeur Sanders. The other stuff is just filler. It's just filler for the news. You feel me? And like I said, boy, when Lonzo Ball get on that court with the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, it's gonna be fireworks in Cleveland. You got Shedeur Sanders, Lonzo Ball, two celebrities outside of their sports that have transcended in popularity. Man, it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be real crazy.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of money invested. I see a guy in the chat saying all these different, people that's in business with Shedeur Sanders, Nike, Gatorade. Do you think the NFL even gives a damn about that? Because it seems like the NFL is
Of course
operating
they
in
do.
their own world.
Of course they do, Flight. The
Wow.
NFL is relishing the controversy that swirls around Shedeur Sanders. Um, the thing of it is that Roger Goodell, right? It's all about making money, and we know that NFL share revenue, right? It's socialistic. I won't say communistic, but I say socialistic. So they need a central figure that's hated and loved at the same time. That's to put them out there as a showcase. While the other players who we have gravitated to, that is a part of our uh, that is part of our teams that we choose as our preference. Now we got something to shoot at. Go get him, Patty. Go get him, Dacky. Go get him, Joshy. Go get him, Lamari. You follow what I'm saying? Go get him, Golfy. Go get him, Bakery.
Wow.
And this is how
Where you get these
the
names from?
NFL is generate interest. And now you got other quarterbacks, the Darts, the Wards, the McCarthys, that's coming into their own, and they're part of that other tier of young quarterbacks that's trying to make their way in the NFL. They're going to be talked about and compared to. And Shedeur Sanders is going to be in the conversation of all quarterbacks. I don't care how good these quarterbacks are doing. They're going to say, well, if Shedeur gets that opportunity, can he do that? Oh, I don't think Shedeur would have did anything like that. You follow what I'm saying? They're going to always try to find an angle to implement Shedeur Sanders in the frame of things.
Yeah, like he got off easy. I mean, it is what it is. They say nepotism is running high. But I mean, we're gonna find out at the end of the day. That's why we got to play the games. Um, Shout out to all y'all in the chat. We're gonna find out, man. I'm just mad that Shedeur is a fifth round pick. This is why they're able to handle him in this manner. So it's unfortunate. At the end of the day, he's a
Well,
fifth
I mean,
round
Flight,
pick.
that's water under the bridge, right?
Please subscribe to Flight Sports TV, hit the like button, and leave a comment.
Yes, Flight, that's water under the bridge because that's already been done. That has already been part of NFL history for 2025. Now, to move forward or to push the pendulum towards the positive, your performance have to match that which those who paraded you as a higher draftee right now. That's what matters right now. How they did him, they done him like that. He made the 53-man roster. So now that's clear, right? We cleared that because he made the 53-man roster. Now, if he didn't make the 53-man roster, then that could be something that we can look at as being hideous the way they did him. But he made the 53-man roster. So now let's see what he can do moving forward.
Yeah, like I said, we gotta find out what's up with these guys, man. What you think about Kevin Stefanski? How do you feel in the way about him after all of this?
Well, first of all, shout out to Basil Carpenter Jr., a lifetime supporter and very generous giver to Flight Sports TV. And if anybody's trying to match that energy of Basil Carpenter Jr., you can hit that PayPal, you can hit the Super Chat, and you can definitely hit the Cash App of Flight Sports TV. Well, Kevin Stefanski, right? He knows he's playing with house money because nobody's expecting the Browns to be a threat, not only in their own division but in the league. They're not even expecting to be a threat in their own division, their conference, nor the league. So he's playing with house money. If Kevin Stefanski wanted the Browns to be a serious contender, Flacco would not be the quarterback. He would not be the quarterback.
Why you say that?
Because they would have went out and got somebody that was more younger, more vivacious, and more diligent toward proving himself. Flacco's a Super Bowl champion. What he's going to prove, right? I think was he the MVP of that Super Bowl? I think so. So he really don't have anything to prove. His legacy is cemented. He's only getting $3 million a year or something like that. He getting pennies on the dollar. So Browns is not paying nobody. They're not paying Dylan. They're not paying Shedeur. They're not paying Flacco. So that QB room is very cheap. And you get what you pay for.
Yeah, you ain't lying about that. I mean, it's Kevin Stefanski. He cool. I mean, I ain't really too tripped out about him. I know a lot of people feel some kind of way, but I don't. Stefanski been there for a long time too. I feel like he's been there forever. He was there for a lot of regimes. I think he took over after. I'm trying to think who the hell he took over for. Was it after that dude who was for Cincinnati? He was supposed to work out Colin Kaepernick. You remember his name?
You talking about
Hugh Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he take over after Hugh Jackson?
Listen, I don't know nothing about the Cleveland Browns except Brian Sight, Bernie Kosar, all I'm
Hugh
saying,
Jackson.
and
He tried to finish
the
him.
ultimate, the drive. That's the only thing I know anything decent about the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
I know you might not remember the drive.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that, but I heard. Of course, it's infamous. Any sports fan heard of the drive?
So I mean, nobody pays attention to the Cleveland Browns. And before that, I didn't know nothing about the Cleveland Browns except for Jim Brown. You know what I'm saying? I knew he played for the Cleveland Browns. That's about it. Cleveland hasn't done anything in their history since I've been born to have me look over there consistently. I like Brian Sight. I like Boney Kurzar. You know, that team was a pretty good team. I think was it Belichick the coach on that drive?
I'm not sure.
But yeah, and I wanted them to beat Denver so bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they fly.
And the fool fumbled the ball. 4-4. Fumbled the ball, man, at the goal line. Denver going to the Super Bowl. That's why they call it the drive.
Yeah, they talk about that. Everybody talking about that in Cleveland sports. The butt fumble.
No, not the butt fumble. The butt fumble is what's his name? For the Jets. The quarterback out of USC. What was that fool name? When he fumbled, was it against the Patriots? He fumbled that ball? Butt fumble?
Are you talking about? I think I know you're talking about Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez, Mark Sanchez.
Sanchez was the truth. I remember when the Jets was about to win. I remember.
But that was a butt fumble, though.
Yeah. No, the Jets with Sanchez, they went to the championship game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I was living in New York at this time. The Jets, they was going crazy for the Jets. They thought the Jets
was
was going to do it that year. They never Rex Ryan never recovered after that, did he? Yeah, that shit. Those kind of lost his fucking soul up. They thought they had them niggas, didn't they?
Yeah. And Mark Sanchez, I think, was he a rookie or yeah, I think he was a rookie. So they thought they had something really good with Mark Sanchez. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he started flopping. He was a franchise.
He said, "What levels are Dylan Gabriel inquiring minds?" Well, listen. What's his name? In the middle? Mon in the middle? Dylan Gabriel, according to purists and serious pundits, they consider him a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders in college. Shedeur Sanders did lead the nation in completion ratings, but I think Dylan Gabriel had overall higher numbers. Dylan Gabriel was top 4 in the Heisman vote. Remember that he was invited to New York, and he finished top 4. Dylan Gabriel played at Oklahoma for a couple of years, so that's a high-end, competitive university. All they do is read football, and all they do is want to beat Texas in the Red River Shootout. That's all that Oklahoma want to do: beat Texas, right? Beat Texas and compete for a national championship. Dylan Gabriel then transferred to Oregon after Bo Nix left. So he followed up in another Heisman hopeful shoes. And prior to that, I think Kyler Murray was the Heisman winner when Dylan Gabriel came to Oklahoma. So this guy is don't underestimate him. He's a high-end competitor, you know, because he's going to schools where Heisman have been. He's going to schools where Heisman hopefuls have graduated and left their legacy there. He's going to school where they were having high expectations for that particular season. Dylan Gabriel had the Oregon Ducks sitting at number 1 for numerous of weeks. He beat Ohio State the only loss Ohio State have on their record was by Dylan Gabriel. So he's not no chump. He's just a shorty. You know, he's the Doug Flutie of our era. You know, a lot of people try to say Drew Brees. No, this guy's not on Drew Brees level. More of a Doug Flutie. Because nobody looked at Drew Brees as an underdog. Doug Flutie, yes. Only thing people was apprehensive about Drew Brees is his height and his arm. But he wasn't looked upon as the underdog or poor Drew Brees. No, people knew that Drew Brees was the business. That's why the Saints hurry up and did that flip for Drew Brees. Remember, he started off as a Charger. So Dylan Gabriel is not in the class of a Drew Brees. But if you want to put record against record, Dylan Gabriel had a more decorated collegiate career than Shedeur Sanders. So when you ask the question, what levels are Dylan Gabriel? Inquiring minds, here you have it. It just wasn't no pushover, I can tell you that much. Just because you might not have heard of him, really, it wasn't no pushover. He's a very competitive young man. He just have a height restriction. And sometimes that could be a disadvantage because you're going to have to roll him out of the pocket a lot. And you subject him to corner blitz. And you moving him out of the pocket. So that means your offense have to glide towards his left. And a lot of times that makes a lot of lefties vulnerable. Because a lot lefties is not as ambidextrous. Well, I won't say ambidextrous. I don't know if that's the right word. Not as adroit as right-hand quarterback. Lefties tend to get out of position to recover. Well, right-hand quarterbacks, it's kind of second nature. That's why you see more right-hand quarterbacks than left-hand quarterbacks.
Yeah, a good point though, Dex. We're gonna find out what's going on. Like I said, it's gonna be a good upcoming year. There's a lot of news circulating in the NFL world. What about some of the other Colorado teammates when they look like they're finding a home? Honestly, any notable guys stand out from Colorado?
Yes, Will Shepherd. Oh my God, Will Shepherd is having the time of his life down in Green Bay. What's his name? Jonte. What's his name? Jonte Wester.
Yeah.
You got Jimmy Horn. And then you got Xavier Worthy over there in Arizona. So, what is it? Is that his name, Xavier Worthy, or I'm thinking of the guy from Kansas City? But anyway, Xavier is down there in Xavier Weaver, I think his name is. Not Worthy, Weaver. Xavier Weaver, down in Arizona. Xavier Worthy played with Kansas City. He come out of Texas. But yeah, so you got a lot of Colorado ex players in the NFL. It's getting in the end zone. They're getting them tubs. They getting pay dirt. So that's always a good thing when you have your teammates out there, you know, showing improvement. It's just that Shedeur is just so head and shoulders above when it comes to popularity and celebrity that these other guys are after mentioned. But they are excelling, and they are providing a grand presence on that field.
Yeah. Good point there, Dex. Um, we're gonna find out what's up with them. We got other games percolating too. We got Deion Sanders coming up this Friday. What's your thoughts on that game?
Um, I know they got a quarterback
Yeah,
battle.
they Juju Lewis is the backup, so it seems like he doing his own little thing too as well, But I'm hearing that they're gonna allow him to get in the game. They're gonna work him in, But
So yeah, you got that little minor controversy swirling over in Colorado. So we'll see. I mean, I haven't really invested too much in Colorado. Deion has been ill, and he's coming back. So I can't wait to see him. Really get the full strength and getting out there and providing that kind of energy and confidence to his players, and instilling in his players manhood on the football field. So Jordan Steed, he said that Colorado is becoming a NFL factory. So let's see if that can hold true this season as well.
yeah, let's see. I mean, only time will tell. What about Travis Hunter? What do you think about him? I think he gonna start off as a receiver, right?
Um, I don't know, man. Jacksonville, you know, Trevor Lawrence and company. I think it's going to be real hard for Travis Hunter over there, Jackson. You know,
One thing I'm gonna do is spread my.
What you say?
talking to me.
Yeah, say that last point.
I said I think it's going to be real hard for Travis Hunter at Jacksonville because they acted so much of the young man, and he, they want him to be a impactful player on both sides of the ball coming in this season. Not no process or prospect or that's wait and see. No, they want him to make a general impact on both sides of the ball. And I think that he is so competitive that he's willing to do that. So we got to see. I just think Jacksonville's not a good team, and that's going to exert a lot of energy from Travis Hunter in these first 4 games coming into the NFL season. So let's see how he holds up. Let's see how much output that he get on that field. So I'm a little concerned about Travis, but let's see if he's going to be full-time two-way player. That's going to be something exciting to see at this level.
Yeah, they're in line about that, Dex. Let's see what happened with them. You believe in Trevor Lawrence?
It's time for him to make that step, right? I mean, he came in as the next Peyton Manning shit. So, he got all the physical attributes, but I think the problem is between his head. And once he can get out of his own head, he can get out of his own way and allow the coaches to insert information between the ears. I think Trevor Lawrence will be okay because he got the physical attributes. Nothing wrong with him there. It's just between them ears, man. He got too much stuff going on, and he gotta let go and flow.
Yeah, I agree with you. Only time, one time. Salute to all y'all that's in the chat. You said that Shedeur team is all to play. Well, I hope so. I really do. I hope Shedeur does get an opportunity. Everybody seems to be in unison that he will get it, despite all the mess that is looking like it looked like he's never going to get the opportunity. But I just got to hope for the best, with Shedeur Sanders. We got to hope for the best for the Sanders family. That's what I'm going to continue to do. We got a lot of things to cover. We got football, big time football news, percolating. We got some upcoming games percolating, so make sure you don't touch that dial. Everybody that's in the chat, if you're new, hit the subscribe button. If you're in here, hit the like button. It helps out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen, especially when you're getting good insight. We're breaking a lot of big, important, football news down. And we're looking to do this. So make sure y'all pull up. We're going to be discussing a lot of different things. Dex, anything else you want to talk about? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the chief in the chat. So peace, Dex. Peace, Flight. Shout out to Henny. Salute to all y'all that's in the building. Any other things that we might want to highlight involving the Sanders family, or this whole situation with Cleveland or Tampa? What do you think about that?
This is Holly Heat of the Hot Seat with Holly Heat, and this is Flight Sports TV.
Well, it's nothing to speak on Tampa because that rodeo is over with. You know what I mean? It's time for him to move on and try to find a new space where he can play and operate in. Listen, like, the show is Cleveland, okay? There ain't nothing else to talk about. Dallas Cowboys have been usurped by the Cleveland Browns in media attention.
That's crazy.
And Jerry Jones is probably pulling the last bit of hair out of his head. He can't believe it when he got Micah Parsons hanging in the wings, talking about he want to trade, but they talking about a 5th round draft pick that stunk up the joint in his last outing. I mean, this is crazy. So it's only up from here when it comes to Shedeur Sanders.
You ain't lying. It's only up, man. It can only go up from here. It's a mess what's going on. I just hope that everything works out. We're gonna find out. I can't wait till the NFL season. A lot of teams. You brought up the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're gonna take care of Micah Parsons. It's gonna happen right before the season. They did that with Dak. It was a lot of talk right the week before the season. They pay him, he go crazy. But Dallas, we don't know what's up with Dallas. I'm hearing everybody talking about he not worth it. Maybe that'll be another conversation we need to break down. I want to see what's going on with Travis. I want to see what's going on with Tennessee. A lot of different teams. I want to see the Giants. New England. There's a lot of different squads that I'm very excited for and the progression. And to see where they take their futures. So again, do not touch that dial, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be bringing a lot of news updates and more to the people. Hey, Dex, man, I want to thank you for pulling up with us tonight. We're going to be back with them tomorrow. Make sure you pull up. I want to appreciate you, Dex, man. Any closing remarks?
Listen, keep up with the latest news, analysts, and updates from Flight Sports TV. Join the channel, become a member, be a brick in the wall, support something outside of yourself that is groovy and is helpful and it's informative. Flight Sports TV is a mechanism of truth and an apparatus of honesty. And when you have something like that on your airways, you need to be a part of that. We have no agenda. We do like the Sanders family. We do like the Ball family. Outside of that, in general, we just welcome all sports fanatics and even those who are considered casual. Come to Flight Sports TV. Be a part of something good. Voice of the voiceless. If you have an opportunity that you feel that you want to express yourself, the panel is open. You're very welcome. This is not a monolithic panel. It is very assorted, and you have the freedom to express yourself. That don't mean everyone will agree with you, and that don't mean everyone will disagree with you. But have your opinion expressed, and don't muffle anything that you feel might be worthy to us here at Flight Sports TV. Flight.
That's right. Good night, people. We love you. Salute to all y'all. Make sure you hit the like button if you're new. Most definitely hit the subscribe button. It's Flight Sports TV. Peace and love.
Flight Sports TV, man. That's my dude. I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Like I said, Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports.